Alright, in this screencast, I'm going to talk about readability. This is really important because as we design web pages, the job of a designer is to make things readable, comfortable, and easy. And so here I just have a definition of web design and what kind of the stuff that we're doing. And the first thing that I want to talk about is font size. And I think it's really important to realize that more goes into readability than we think. Well, why don't we just make it really big and that means it'll be easy to read. Oh, what is going on? But that's not the case. It definitely takes more than just making things really big. That doesn't always make things readable. Um, so here we have an 11 size font. It's not too terrible, but it could definitely be a lot worse. Um, Typically on the internet we have larger text than, let's say, like in a book. Sometimes in a book you can have size 9 font. But here, if we were to look at size 9, that is just too little and you can't read that. And when that happens, your counter spaces get filled in and it's harder to make out the word shapes. Typically, I would say that font 12 or below is too small for the web. So we're going to go with 13. That's a pretty good size. Also, when we make fonts big, well, like I said before, we read word shapes. And when we have big font, let's go to like this. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but oh yes, I do know. We have no space in between our words. Okay, I'm going to teach you and talk about this later, but just to make that a little, that's not even any better. As you'll find out later, it's very important to have space, there we go, in between our words to be able to read them as well. So when we make the font bigger, it's harder to take in, it's harder to take in bigger chunks, and so we don't read as much. Alright, so we're going to keep this at about, let's say, 11 here. Oh, looks like we missed some. Alright, so as you can see, okay, there we go. So that is font size. I want to talk about weight and style. We do know that using a serif font, that's with the tick marks, with a bold is not something that we want to do, because when you do that you lose the elegance of the text. When you have large amounts of text, you never want to use bold or italicize the whole text. It is okay to, if you're trying, let's say we wanted to, this word aesthetics here, we wanted to emphasize that word, it would be appropriate to bold or italicize that word, but not all of the text. That's not something that we need to do. So if you'll just remember that, so let's say if we were to bold that, that's alright because it stands out and it's just one word. But we don't want to bold. It's not even going to let us do it anyway. We don't want to bold or italicize all of the font. But it definitely works for emphasis. Also, if you are using a serif font and you want to emphasize a word, it's definitely good to emphasize or to use the italics right here to emphasize. Don't use bold. I also want to talk about case. So, like I said before, we read in word shapes, and we get word shapes by using upper and lower case. And when we go to all, when we go to all uppercase, like this, let's see, it's under character here. When we go to all caps, we lose our word shape. And so it's harder to read, and our job is to make things easy, so we don't want to do that. Also, it looks like you are yelling at someone, so we don't want to do that either for that reason. Okay, I also want to talk about line height, which is a problem that I was having earlier. So if we go here, okay, it's a, let's go to auto. Okay, so that's typically what we would start out with would start out seeing. My problem, what I was having the problem with earlier, is that I had no space in between the lines, and so the words were overlapping, and it was a real mess, like you saw, like that. No way you can read that. And personally, I like space in between my lines. It helps me to be able to read them. However, if, let's see, you have, that's probably okay, too much space in between your lines, it starts to you get a disconnect. And so this line is its own thing, this line is its own thing, and this line is its own thing. They don't connect, and the reader doesn't connect them. But the opposite can happen, like we saw. If there's no space, words jumble together and the reader loses their place a lot. So we want to, auto's good. I would suggest going about 22, 23. That's nice and easy readable. It does depend on your font though, but just keep that in mind. The next thing I want to talk about is line length. A typical good length for a line is 65 to 85 characters. You don't want to have it too short or too long. If it's too short, the reader has to scroll down really fast and can't keep up. However, if it's too long, the reader can lose their place. You want to avoid hyphens whenever you can on the end of a line. So we don't want to have, so let's say we may, let's see. Let's say website is one word, and that goes to the next line. We try really hard to not have hyphens on the end, and you can change that by changing the length of your line. That would help. Also, let's see, we don't want to have what we call an orphan. Orphan is this lonely guy at the bottom here. What we can do is create a soft break, which would put two words down here instead of just one. So it's a little bit softer and something that is good to do. I also want to talk about alignments. All right. Actually, let's put this back up here. Alignment, there's lots of alignments and things that we can do. There we go. So we've got left justified, center, and we've got right. So it's all the same on the right. Full justified. Now, depending on what you're trying to do, you'll use different things. Center justified is good for headings and short amounts of text. But if you have a lot of text, you don't want to do center. It gets kind of uncomfortable to read. Right justified gets confusing because your jagged edges are over here, and it starts to get really confusing as you read. So really the best one is left center, what we all use, or the typical one to use. Let's say like the auto one. It's comfortable and it's nice. It's good to use. What we can do, so let's copy this and we'll paste it. Oops. Paste it down here in our box. And okay, so here we'll paste it, and what's nice is if we want to have something on the side, for example, like a little emphasis of what we're talking about. Let's see, I only want a little bit of this. Let's just take this. Oops. What's nice is you can use center and all the things that we just talked about, and make a really nice. So let's move this. Here we go. Okay, so if we, sorry, I want to make one more change to this. Okay, and I just want this to have two. So I realize this isn't a full sentence, but you'll get the point I'm trying to make here. And so if we center align, actually we're going to right align this. And then we'll scooch this one over a little bit. Alright, and then we're going to move this one right here. We can even make it a little bit bigger, and it just creates a really nice break right here, which I really like. So we'll just make that a little bit bigger. So that's something that you can do, a way to use the other justifications in smaller amounts of text. And then something else. Oh, actually, I think that's it. I hope that this has been helpful. It's nice to know that there are other things to think about when you're trying to make something readable. It's not just make it big and people will be able to read it, but it's a little bit more than that. Thank you.